Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
The Palestinian Finance Minister, Salam Fayyad, has announced that the Third Road Party, which he heads, will not participate in the legislative elections that will take place on January 25, 2006. Hanan Ashrawi, the representative in the Palestinian Legislative Council, is also a member of this party. The decision was made due to the security breakdown and the problems facing the Fatah movement. The initial results revealed that Hamas won a landslide victory in the West Bank's largest cities in the fourth round of municipal elections held in 40 Palestinian municipalities.
Hamas won a sweeping victory in the municipal elections in the largest cities in the West Bank. Its victory in the fourth round of these elections will allow it to dominate the municipalities of Jenin, Nablus, and El Bire. The echoes of this victory came when thousands of supporters took to the streets of the cities of the West Bank and Gaza to celebrate this victory. This puts Hamas in a strong position in facing the Fatah movement, preparing them for the legislative elections that will take place on the 25th of this coming January.
The elections were very good and were conducted with complete calmness and self-restraint from everyone. This in itself is a success. Yesterday, the Palestinian people expressed their choices with freedom, without any pressure from any group.
This victory is yet another blow to the Fatah movement, which is struggling to heal the internal division that took place this week when Fatah dissidents submitted their own list of candidates for the legislative elections amidst accusations of corruption and incompetence. There are 15 municipal seats available in each of the large cities. In Nablus, Hamas won 13 of them versus the 2 won by Fatah. Hamas obtained 9 seats, whereas Fatah won 4 in El Bire. In Jenin, Hamas won 8 seats versus the 7 won by Fatah. In Ramallah, Hamas obtained 3 seats, Fatah obtained 6, and 6 other seats were won by those who split from Fatah. As a result, Hamas strengthened its gains in the Palestinian municipal elections at the expense of the ruling Fatah movement. Israel said that the political domination achieved by Islamic groups will eliminate any hope for creating peace. According to the most recent opinion polls conducted in the West Bank, it seems that Hamas benefited from Fatah's internal division, which President Mahmoud Abbas is part of, and largely strengthened its position before the legislative elections that will take place this coming January.
نحييكم ونقدم لكم نشرة أخبار التاسعة ليوم الجمعة السادس عشر من ديسمبر.
Minister Jamal Shawbati, President of the High Election Commission overseeing local elections, announced the end of the fourth round of municipal elections. He said that now they are tallying the ballots and that the voter turnout reached 83%. He added that the elections took place peacefully and in an organized manner without any problems worth mentioning. Shawbaki congratulated our people for this exercise of democracy, which proves to the world that our people have a democratic spirit and is capable of applying it in their political life in a civilized manner in all times and conditions. A delegation from the European Congress, which came to monitor the Palestinian municipal elections, held a press conference in a media center in El Bire in Ramallah. They pointed out that there was a tangible improvement in the way elections were conducted in this fourth round. However, they pointed out that some of the election centers were opened late because of the Israeli checkpoints, which restricted the movement of the election officials. Mr. Christopher Newberry said that the election staff needs more training.
تأخر افتتاح بعض المراكز بسبب الحواجز العسكرية الإسرائيلية التي أعاقت تحرك طواقم الانتخابات. وقال السيد كريستوفر نيوبيوري إن الطواقم العاملة في المجال الانتخابي في حاجة إلى المزيد من التدريب.
In our top story, an Israeli driver was killed today when Palestinian gunmen ambushed his vehicle outside the settlement of Beit Chagai near the West Bank city of Hebron. Yossi Shok, in his 30s, was a father of 5 and a Beit Chagai resident. 2 female passengers in the car were lightly injured in the attack, which was carried out not far from the IDF Regional Brigade headquarters. 3 Israeli settlers were killed in the same area on October 16th. Both Fatah and Islamic Jihad have claimed responsibility for the attack. IDF forces sealed off the area around the southern Hebron Hills following the shootings in search of the gunman. The drive-by shooting near Hebron follows a night of Qassam rocket fire and IDF retaliatory raids. Palestinians fired 7 Qassam rockets into the Negev overnight, with 1 landing close to the southern city of Ashkelon. There was damage to property, but no injuries. In response, Israel Air Force fighter jets fired missiles at access routes in the northern Gaza Strip. An Army spokesman said that the Air Force strike was intended to prevent the terrorists from continuing to launch the rockets. And as a further deterrent measure, Israel imposed a closure on the Gaza Strip and West Bank early this morning. The closure does not apply to the Karni crossing in the northern Gaza Strip, which is used for the transfer of goods between Gaza and Israel. And late yesterday, a mega terror attack was prevented near Beit Jala on the outskirts of Bethlehem. Acting on a tip from an unidentified Palestinian, IDF forces located a car packed with cans of gasoline and homemade explosives. The Army says Palestinian terrorists intended to detonate the car bomb on the busy tunnel road connecting Jerusalem with the Etzion block. A sweeping victory for Hamas in local municipal elections. The group took 73% of the vote in the West Bank's largest city of Nablus. The victory gives the extremist Islamic movement 13 out of 15 seats on the city council. The remaining seats went to a coalition of Fatah and independent candidates. In Jenin, Hamas won 8 seats, while a Fatah-led coalition won 7. In Al-Baray, on the outskirts of Ramallah, Hamas won 72% of the vote, gaining 7 seats on the municipal council. And in Ramallah itself, which has a large Christian population, Fatah only managed to gain 6 seats on the city council, while Hamas won 3, and the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine took 3 as well. Hamas supporters took to the streets to celebrate the wide-scale victory, while Fatah activists blamed their defeat on the recent split in the party. The victory dealt a harsh blow to the party ahead of the January 25th parliamentary elections. British Foreign Secretary Jacques Straw said that the Palestinian Authority must continue to push through reforms to realize its own economic potential. Straw was hosting the International Donor Committee set up to support the PA at a meeting in London this week. Both Israeli and Palestinian representatives were also present at the talks.
With this support from the international community, the Palestinian people have made significant progress over the past 12 months. Real GDP has increased, unemployment has gone down, and the PA has taken steps to improve its governance structure as well. But more has to be done. The Palestinian Authority has to deal with its fiscal crisis by maintaining strict budgetary discipline. The wage bill will have to be contained and revenues further enhanced. The Authority will have to continue its reform of its security services and the implementation of the rule of law throughout its territories. The Government of Israel needs to play its part in facilitating elections, in improving freedom of movement and access to markets for Palestinians, and doing everything within its power to ensure a secure working and living environment for Israeli and Palestinian citizens alike.
I think that there was also a wall-to-wall understanding that confronting terrorism and ensuring law and order is paramount if we are to move in the directions of economic recovery.
Protests continue against the construction of the security fence by the Palestinian village of Be'elim. Demonstrators clashed with IDF troops today at the site. This even though the army declared the area a closed military zone. The protesters were also angry about land confiscated to build a new neighborhood in the settlement of Matityahu. 7 of the demonstrators were brought in for questioning.
Chairman of the Expediency Council, Akbar Hashemi Rafsanjani, says Iraq's recent election serves as a victory for the nation. Mr. Rafsanjani, who led this week's Friday prayers in Tehran, also said Iraq's parliamentary election is running against the objectives of the U.S. and other occupiers who have been caught in a quagmire. Tehran's interim Friday prayer leader then pointed to the U.S. allegations over Iran's interference in Iraqi affairs and described them as ridiculous. He added, the funny thing is that the U.S., with 160,000 soldiers in Iraq and being involved in the acts of terror and bringing insecurity to the region, is accusing Iran of interfering in Iraq. Iran voiced protest against flagrant and recurrent violation of human rights by the United States and Europe. In a letter submitted to the UN Secretary General Kofi Annan on Friday, Iran has expressed grave concern over the existence of the United States secret jails, frequent practice of torture in those prisons, and increasing mistreatment towards Muslims and growing hostile attitudes against Islam in the West. Former Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad denounced Friday reactions by the U.S. and Western countries to the recent anti-Zionist remarks by Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Mohamad made the remark on the first day of Malaysia's 2005 peace conference and added, the West is labeling President Ahmadinejad's remarks as racist, while they themselves keep mum over the Zionist crimes in the occupied lands and wiping the name of Palestine off the map.
In Basra in southern Iraq, opinion polls revealed a clear lead for the United Iraqi Alliance list. The Iraqi Security Agency announced that it is using a comprehensive plan to protect the election centers during the vote count and will transfer the ballots to Baghdad.
As the votes are tallied in the city of Basra for the 16 candidates competing for the future parliament, the security agency relied on a comprehensive plan to ensure success in the vote counting process. The plan included deploying a security cordon of 3 zones that surrounded the Al-Aqsa Yaza storage place where the ballot boxes were sent, in preparation for them to be transferred to the headquarters of the Independent Higher Elections Commission in the Iraqi capital of Baghdad.
We took security measures according to the plan of the Ministry of Defense and the Ministry of Interior. After we received the plan, we met with the police chiefs and the security committee in the district of Basra. We discussed the plan and it was well implemented.
Despite the fact that Elections Commission said it would announce the final result of the election in 2 weeks, there are many indications that the United Iraqi Alliance is leading by a large margin. A poll carried out by the Iraqi newspaper in Basra, The Morning, revealed that 70% of the voters voted for the United Iraqi Alliance list.
I voted for United Iraqi Alliance number 555.
I voted for list 555 because it will give us our rights and services. We voted for this list.
555, God willing. The future of Iraq depends on it.
The voters in the city put their confidence in the United Iraqi Alliance because it represents religious and political leaders who have significant experience and qualifications in running the country.
I voted for United Iraqi Alliance list. I voted for Dr. Ahmed al-Shalabi's list.
I voted for the United Iraqi Alliance list.
Here in Basra, most signs indicate that the United Iraqi Alliance has a clear lead, although this depends on the Higher Election Commission's announcement of the final voting results. Noman Abdel Razak Al-Alam Al-Basra.
In Pakistan, Islamabad called for resolving the differences on the nuclear file between Iran and the European Union in its negotiations. Pakistan also said that Iran had the right to possess nuclear technology for peaceful purposes. This came during a meeting between Pakistani President Pervez Musharraf and the Iranian Foreign Minister Mansour Moteki.
The goal of the first visit of the Iranian Foreign Minister, Monasher Muttaqi, to Islamabad was to strengthen relations between the two countries and foster cooperations on the economic, trade, and cultural levels. The Pakistani President Pervez Musharraf met with Muttaqi to discuss increasing cooperation between the two countries, considering their common borders and projects that will contribute to the success of their cooperation in many fields. Islamabad said that Iran has the right to possess nuclear technology for peaceful purposes and rejected the use of force against Tehran. It also expressed hope that the differences between Iran and the European Union would be resolved.
Islamic countries showed their support.
Islamic countries showed their support in the Mecca conference and confirmed the right of countries to obtain nuclear technology for peaceful use. Pakistan also renewed our right for this technology.
The Pakistani Prime Minister Shaukat Abdul Aziz met with Muttaqi and discussed with him the situation in South Asia and the peace process between Pakistan and India. He expressed his hope for reaching a solution to the Kashmiri problem, which is considered the source of conflict in the region. The Pakistani Foreign Minister Khurshid Khursi discussed the issue of economic cooperation between the two countries. Both sides consider the extension of the gas pipeline between Iran and India through Pakistan as a project that will strengthen peace and contribute to the advancement of relations between them, creating peace in the region and economic development.
Iran-India gas pipeline project.
The Iran-India gas pipeline project, which cost $4.5 billion, will contribute in solving the energy problem in South Asia and will support the peace process in the region.
Pakistan confirmed Iran's right to possess nuclear technology for peaceful purposes. It also expressed its hope to increase trade cooperation between the two countries. Sadiq Bilal, Al-Alim Television, Islamabad. Grand Ayatollah Ali Sistani called on people to vote in the parliamentary elections and not to let their votes be wasted by not casting their ballots for a specific party. According to a statement issued from Sistani's office, these elections are just as important as the previous ones, and that everyone should participate to guarantee the election of a large number of those who could be trusted to protect the country's fundamental principles and prioritize the national interests. The Iraqi tribes play an important role in the Iraqi society, both at the political and security levels, especially during the election period. Many candidates are trying to gain tribal votes by promising them generous services. The truth that cannot be avoided is that winning the votes of these Arab tribes is a key factor in maintaining security, considering the special relationship between the tribes and the armed groups.
Starting from the era of the Ottomans and going through the British era and through Saddam Hussein's reign, those who try to rule the country have always attempted to gain the support and loyalty of the tribes, considering that the tribes have the ability to make things work out. The presence of the tribes and their ways of thinking have always had a strong influence in this country. The tribes are generally linked with strong blood relations and forge treaties based on an honor system that is not influenced by sectarian lines, especially when considering intertribal marriage. This explains why intermarriage between Sunnis and Shiites is a widespread phenomenon. As the country suffers from violence from known reasons, the major tribes numbering 150 are considered to be a strong force that could be utilized in supporting certain political officials and establishing stability in the country in the post-elections era. The election period is a window of opportunity for those who aim to gain the support of these tribes in exchange for many promises to provide services. In addition, many of the election slates have used many prominent tribal leaders to gain support of the tribes. One of the tribal chiefs, whose tribe is made up of both Sunnis and Shiites, asked his supporters to have an open mind when voting. He also expressed pessimism concerning the ability of any Iraqi official to win support in Iraq by copying the American election methods, such as holding election campaigns. He also casted doubts on on the ability of religious leaders who use mosque podiums to present their election promises, like providing security and jobs. However, other tribal leaders are more optimistic. For example, one of the Jabur tribe chiefs, who leads a Shiite list that formed an alliance with the Sunnis in the city of Hilla, said that these elections will change the political status quo, pointing out the importance of having a sovereign, united, and free country. These days, Iraqi and foreign officials have opened many dialogue channels with many tribal leaders, especially in Sunni-dominated provinces where armed operations against the American presence and Iraqi forces are concentrated. Recently, there has been an evident shift in the position of tribal chiefs toward Takfirist extremist groups, which was evident when Sunni tribes rushed to help their Shiite neighbors in the towns of the Anbar province, when they were the target of attacks by Al-Qaeda organization in the land of the two rivers. In any case, it is difficult to predict how the tribes will vote.
Disabled children in Iraq have been gaining momentum, especially after their problems had been ignored for so long. A reporter from Al-Sharqiya attended some of the festivities that were held in honor of disabled Iraqi children.
Under the slogan Cultural Day for Disabled Iraqis, the Organization of Health and Culture for All held a celebration to honor disabled children. Disabled children performed on stage, singing, dancing, reciting poems in the Hamza Rehabilitation Center for the Disabled. A group started the event by raising the Iraqi flag. This reminded us that those children are working hard to show everyone that they are equal and should be treated equally as the rest of the people in the society.
Those less fortunate children from the Association of Health and Culture for All came today to celebrate their day, and they did a superb job. We always stereotype the handicapped as being less than healthy. However, these children proved us wrong as they held an excellent performance. That is why we should evaluate their performance and not their physical appearance.
A group of young children started the program by singing. After that, a group of adults recited marvelous poems and gained the crowd's admiration.
You are the inspiration that motivates me, and you are the remedy of my revival. Dream and reality unite, or is it deception that brought them together? O Ilya, be tender, because I am human, and I still hurt from that pain.
Caregivers for disabled children face difficulties because those children require special treatment.
As caregivers, we must continue to do our jobs despite the many problems we're experiencing. We do not have any financial support from the government. The Ministry of Work and Social Affairs does not sponsor us, even though our association is under its authority. We call on the new government to subsidize financial grants and provide moral support to all these kinds of associations and centers.
After the celebration, an artistic exhibit was shown. It had lots of artistic posters with deep themes. They came to prove to the world that their physical hardships do not stop them from taking part and contributing to the society, and, as well as others, they can play an important role in culture and art to the best of their knowledge. Shafiq Abdel Jaber, Al-Sharqiya, Baghdad.
His Highness King Abdullah II returned to Jordan after completing an Asian business tour in 3 of the capitals for global economic decision-making. He began in Tokyo, passed through Peking, and ended in Bangkok. His Highness King Abdullah II held talks in Bangkok with the Thai Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra about the possibility of strengthening bilateral relations in the economic, political, and cultural spheres. They also discussed the latest developments in Palestine and Iraq.
كانت مملكة تايلاند المحطة الأخيرة في جولة جلالة الملك عبد الله الثاني الآسيوية والتي شملت كلا من
The Kingdom of Thailand was the last stop in His Highness King Abdullah II's Asian tour that included all of Japan and China. The tour is considered another success for the Jordanian diplomacy through His Highness's leadership. It was about improving bilateral relations and enhancing Jordanian credibility worldwide, paving the way for a better explanation and clarification of the nature of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, the situations in Iraq, in addition to issues such as religion and terrorism. Today, His Highness spoke from a podium in the Thai capital of Bangkok, where he emphasized the importance for Muslims to cooperate in highlighting the true and honorable picture of Islam, which calls for moderation, forgiveness, and peace. His Highness spoke at the Shiwala Lankora University, where political and religious leaders, as well as students and youth, listened to him. He pointed out that true Islam can be used to resolve this century's conflicts, especially when there are conflicts between people of different faiths.
Indeed, anyone who claims that Islam is founded upon a violent ideology must answer to the innocent Muslims, men, women, and children who have been killed because they don't ascribe to the corrupt ideology of a deviant minority. The reality is that Muslims were the very first to be targeted by extremists seeking to silence opposition.
وبين جلالته أن الإسلام ينبذ الاعتداء على الأبرياء.
His Highness explained that Islam rejects aggression against innocent people, whoever they are, confirming that extremists do not represent Islam, and that no one should allow this small extremist minority to divide the 17 million Thai citizens, 7 million of whom are Muslims, living mainly in the southern areas of this South Asian country.
Another weapon against extremism is worldwide dialogue and cooperation, because extremists target more than people and property. They target ideas. Nothing serves their interests more than a clash of civilizations that ends global cooperation and brotherhood. Their aim is to sow mistrust and division. They don't seek to resolve tensions between people of different faiths. They seek to increase them. True traditional Islam can help our world deal with this century's most critical issues, especially where there's tension between people of different faiths. Such tensions can't be healed by emphasizing differences, opposing Islam, or suppressing Muslims. Here in Thailand, Muslims have a long history as an important part of civilization and society. They deserve, as all Thais deserve, that their rights be honored and their persons be respected. No one should allow a tiny minority of extremists to divide the people of Thailand. Non-Muslim Thais should know that their traditional Muslim neighbors, the vast majority, are the staunchest allies of good citizenship, coexistence, and peace. In turn, Thai Muslims should be assured that Thailand will fully appreciate their good citizenship and their determination to resolve issues peacefully.
The views expressed on Mosaic are not those of Link TV or its sponsors, but of the broadcasters themselves. Mosaic is made possible by a grant from the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, which promotes journalism excellence worldwide and invests in the vitality of 26 U.S. communities, and the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation. Additional support is provided by the Firedoll Foundation and Henry and Virgilia Dakin.